Okay, welcome. Another episode. We are here. We are live. I'm assuming you can hear me, James?
Yes, just
Okay.
fine. Hear
May
me?
have a little delay. We're still working out all the bugs, so just bear with us. We are going to give everybody a few minutes to show up. And then we're going to be talking about the new initiative system tonight. So, how is Mr. James tonight on your triumphant return?
I'm doing great.
Good.
It's been a while.
It has been. It has been a while. I actually have somebody to talk to. Wow. Hopefully everybody will show up here in a few minutes. Well, I think my jaw's not as swollen.
It was a tough Monday, huh?
It was. That's a 3-hour story right there. The fiasco that was. For sure. Yeah, you do not want to crack a tooth.
No.
Oh. Is it raining down in Big T?
It has rained, not constantly, but it's rained pretty consistently. Yes.
Ours started about 3 o'clock today and just kind of trickled. I don't know. That means we're right on the edge of it or what. So. So what's been going on gaming wise? I know you've been playing lots of Dungeons and Dragons.
And trying to make it work a little better. It's a new setup for me.
Yes. Yeah, everybody bear with us. We're still working the bugs out again. We're all new systems, and
That's not good.
if you can't troubleshoot while you're live on air, why troubleshoot? So you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons. What else?
Me?
Yeah.
Me? Well, I'm trying to work on a pirate force. I got a bunch of conversions to do.
Yep. And you were up here this last weekend, so we kind of had a CAV bro weekend.
Yes, we did. Talked about the initiative system a lot.
And world domination.
That would be a nice thing for CAV to achieve.
Oh, I wasn't even talking about CAV. I'm just talking about in reality. Enforce our will on the little people.
I think you need a different sidekick. I may not be the right guy.
Yeah. Do like Pinky in the Brain. What are we going to do tonight? Hi there, Lamron. How are you tonight? What's up? Get my notes ready here.
Yeah, this is one night where people don't want to miss. You definitely got some stuff to reveal.
I know. This is going to be a good night. I'm going to be talking about the initiative system here in a minute. the new initiative system.
Yes.
Or
It's definitely a little.
we can play Texas Hold'em.
There's Tiger Race.
He is. Or blackjack. We could do blackjack. We could set up a PayPal account for people to place their bets with. I'm sure that's not against Twitch rules.
Or some kind of law in Kansas.
Hey, we got casinos. It's got to be legal here, right?
Do you really?
We do. The state actually, between the state runs some, and then Indian tribes run some. The state has 3 of them.
Makes sense.
Including one right here in Wichita. Next time you come up, we'll go play blackjack.
I've never played blackjack for money in my life.
You'll have a blast.
No. I ain't got that kind of money.
Oh, it doesn't cost anything. It's almost like free.
Right. You got nickel tables?
They do down in Las Vegas, or they used to, but they don't have enough tables around here to get away with that. They're after the big money. I think the cheapest is $2. Okay, so let's get started for tonight. We've given everybody time to show up, and we're going to talk about the initiative system. And we've pretty much got it nailed down, I think. We've got a couple little tweaks probably here that we still need to get all the sound or the rules typed out and everything, so their deal. But we'll be putting up a kind of, I guess, a beta version here probably by the end of the weekend that you'll be able to start playing with and test with, and you can use your regular deck of cards. We'll make sure we put that up so that you can set that up. Yes, sir. 2? What's 2?
Yes, 2.
2.
You got to have 2 decks of cards.
Well, yes. Well, yes and no. But that's what I'm getting ready to cover. So the base system for initiative will still use 1 deck of cards, especially if you're playing a bigger game with more squads, or if you want for a little different play. You can use 2 decks. 1 player each has a full deck. You want to make sure that all your face cards are in there, as well as your joker. Most hands, let me go back through here. I guess I could have done this earlier.
No, this is content, John. We need content.
I'm working on it. Okay, so you want to make sure you have your full deck, 52 cards, with all your face cards, and your numbers. You want to make sure you have both jokers. And most deck of cards have 2 extra cards. In the CAV deck, these are the X cards, X for extra. But you want to make sure you have 4 of those. So you'll have a total deck with 56 cards. Or 2 decks, if you're playing with 2 decks. So basically what happens is you start the game by shuffling up the deck, or decks, I have to go back and forth between singular and plural here. So we'll make sure we got them good and shuffled. And you'll start off first with either cutting one deck or cutting the two decks. We're looking for a high card. So you'll flip over, you both flip your cards for deck. And then high card gets to choose if they want to deploy first or second. And then the losing card gets to pick the end that they want to deploy from. Is that correct, James?
Yes, that's the way I remember it.
Then alternating back and forth until all squads are then placed. So the winner will choose to deploy first or second. The loser chooses the end, and then depending on who is deploying first or second, they will deploy their squad, and then it will alternate back and forth until all squads are placed. If there is an uneven number of squads, then at the end, the extra squads will deploy. After all the squads are deployed, then the recon models, not the squads, the recon models, the models with the recon task, get their free move. And then you're ready to play. So you'll put your decks back together. You want to shuffle them back up, that's fine. I don't think it necessarily matters since you just used it to cut. Now, in this example, we are going to have 3 squads on one side, 4 squads on the other side, with both squads having 1 recon squad. So one side has 3 squads, one side has 4 squads, and both of them have a recon squad as part of their force group. Now, we're going to show first. I guess probably we need to talk about the kind of cards there are, right, James?
That's probably best to
Yes.
find what we're working with.
Okay, so we've got some dummy cards here that I have mocked up. That will be part of the deck, the new deck that we're going to be doing. Okay, so you have 3 kind of cards in your deck. You're going to have your normal number cards, which will be ace through 10. In this deck and in here, ace counts as 1. Okay. Then you're going to have your 3 face cards, or in this deck you have card 11, 12, and 13. So that would be like your jack, queen, and king. Then you have an event cards. These are the 4 cards that we talked about earlier, the 2 jokers and the 2 extra cards. So you'll have 4 of these in your deck. You'll have 12 of these in your deck. And then the rest of your cards will be 1 through 10 repeated 4 times. Okay? Now, on each card, as far as just the activation cards, they have a picture on them, and they have a little quote from somebody in the game universe. The face cards, or the 11 through 12 cards, are what we call tactical cards. Tactical cards have an ability that they give to your squad when they're played. And we'll go over what those are. There's each out of the 12 cards, each one of them have a different one. The 4 event cards have 4 different events on them as well. And these have the E's on them. And we'll explain how those all work. But that's how a deck will be set up, or you can use a regular deck of cards and just remember what goes to which. The nice thing about these cards that we've talked about is later on we'll be able to release new event cards, new tactical cards, maybe some other different cards that you'll be able to add to the deck. So we have the ability to grow the deck with different cards, for special events or things like that that we want to put out a new card. James, you want to jump in here? Is there anything that I screwed up yet?
I just wanted to point out with the tactical cards, it's the person who wins the war that gets the tactical.
Right. Yeah, I'll show those when we start dealing out how that works. But so each of these cards actually have what the tactical ability is. It has, again, a quote by somebody in the game universe, and then it actually has a description down here of what that tactical card does. Okay, so we'll set these up here for now, because like I said, these are just some mock-up cards that got glued to old cards, so that people can kind of get an idea of where we're going with these. And and as far as color wise, they're red and black. There's half the deck is red and half the deck is black, or at least that's what they are right now. They may change down the road, but having the suits on them is not really important. And I guess technically they all could be red, but just to break up the deck a little bit. Okay, so like we said, we had 4 squads in this force group, 3 squads in this force group, and both force groups have a recon card. What that means is you will get 1 card for each squad, and you will get 1 extra card for each recon squad. Now, there'll be other things in the game that will allow you to purchase extra cards, but what we're just going to deal with here is the basic initiative tonight. Maybe at the end, time-wise, we'll see where we're at. So, if you're playing with 1 deck, you will deal the cards out to the 2 sides. It really doesn't matter who gets the card first. It's all shuffled up. It's all random. Like I said, so we'll get 1 card for each squad, 1 extra card for each recon squad. So Mr. 4 over here will get 5 cards. And then the 3 squads with the recon squad will get 4. So we have 5 cards, we have 4 cards. This is your hand, okay? You will pick up your hand. Obviously, you don't want the other side to see, but we're going to, in this case, so that you can see what we've got going on here. Okay. So in all the cards that were dealt, we only have 1 tacticals card here, a face card, the Jack. High cards go from ace through king or ace through 13. So ace is a 1. It's not going to be the high card. Now, to start off the turn, for the first activation, both players will choose a card out of their hand and play that card at the same time. So in this case, his high card is the Jack, so he wants to go first, so he's going to play the Jack. Now, over here, we got kind of a crap load of cards. So he's going to play this card because he doesn't know what the other player is going to play. He's hoping that the 9 card will be high enough to win. In this case, it's not. The Jack wins, so the Jack will get to move their squad first, and because it is a tactical card, they will get whatever ability that card applies. The losing hand, picks that card back up and puts that in their deck. Okay? Back in their hand.
Puts it back in their
back
hand.
in their hand. This card, after he's done, is discarded. So it will go to your discard pile. Am I forgetting anything, James?
be clear, I, I, I just want to say that the person that played the Jack has one initiative, and they're going to activate their squad, and then they play their side of CAV.
Their squad, yes. They'll play one squad of CAV, of their CAVs or whatever their squads are. The losing hand
And then we
picks that card up and puts that card back in their hand. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Now, after that squad is moved, we deal cards again. Now, it is not necessary that you have to play your high card. If you're waiting to see another squad on the other side move, you can always play a lower card. That's totally up to you. You don't know what the other side has other than you know he's got a 9, and you don't know, was he playing low so that he could wait, or how it goes. So in this case, he's going to play his 9 again because that's his high card, even though the other side doesn't know. He's going to play his 7. Okay? In this case, this player will get to go next and move their squad. Make sure I get my... And then at that point, this card will go back into this player's hand, and this card is discarded. All right. You'll go back and forth until everybody has moved. Once you are out of squads to move, then the other side will finish up. If he has any tactical cards left over, he can play that tactical card with that squad still, so you don't lose that tactical card if you've got it. This is not a tactical card, but if he had one, he could go ahead and play that card and be part of that squad, or the effect to that squad. When everybody's done moving, all these cards that have been played or that were left over all go into the discard pile. A new turn starts, and a new set of cards are dealt. If you're playing off one deck. If you're playing off of 2 decks, you'll just take your top cards off your deck.
Yeah. And I think the default way of playing is intended to be each player has their own deck.
Yes, obviously, we think that playing with 2 decks will work better. But if you're just wanting to play off of one deck, you can play one deck just as well. Now, yes, in the event of an event card, if you get an event card, when you're in your cards, you will automatically flip this card up, and then you will take another card to replace that off the top of the deck. So if this hand had got this card, he would go ahead and put that card down on the table and then draw another card to get his hand out. Whatever the event is, it applies for the remainder, from the beginning to the end of that turn, and it affects both sides. At the end of the turn, that effect goes away, and then that card is discarded. As you lose either your recon squad or squads, you will get less cards. So if you started off with 3 squads in your recon card, and the first squad is your recon card, your first squad destroyed is your recon squad, then you're down to 2 cards when it's time to draw.
Yes.
So the player that has more squads will continue to get more cards and make it harder and harder for smaller forces to at least win initiative. Now, that's not to say that you can't. Obviously, if you get higher cards than what he's getting in the deck, Also, since you're discarding out of the decks, the cards that were played earlier are out. So especially if at the beginning of the game there's lots of tactical cards, then obviously towards the end of the deck you're going to get smaller cards. In the event that you run out of cards in the deck, or each of your decks, at that point you'll put the cards all back together in your deck and shuffle and start from there.
Okay. So here's what I really like about this system. It brings a sense of tactical decisions to the initiative phase. It's not just a card flips up. You get to make a recon decision, and that's it. I've got a handful of cards, and I could sit here and decide I want to go second and play low. Or, if it's really important to activate first, I could go with my best card.
Yeah, it adds a whole level of tactics and thought process to the cards, to the initiative. It does not, certainly after you play it a couple of times and have a better understanding of how it works, we really don't think that it is going to be a time issue. No different than, with the way initiative is done right now, cards are reshuffled each turn. They're flipped one at a time to see who goes. So time-wise, I don't think that it will impact the overall length of the game. And obviously with the events and the tactical adding effects to the game, that should speed some things up too, as far as what they're going. Now, anybody have any questions or thoughts, or hey, you guys are stupid, what the hell are you thinking? James is getting nervous because you're not talking.
It's been a very quiet CAV week.
They are. There's several people in here. They're just not talking. Yep. I'm just very quiet.
We're still going to talk about ties.
Yes. In the event of a tie, if both of you play the same card, the winner of the tie is the person that lost the initiative before. So if you won a last initiative and then you tie, then the other player gets to go first. We think that's a fair way so that one player is not winning every time. Okay, so right, Smosh. So this is a new deck that's going to be coming. We have not released this deck yet.
Your existing CAV deck.
Yes.
Right. If you want to, you don't have to buy it, but if you like it, you can replace your CAV deck with this.
Right. Because again, it'll have everything printed on the cards, and then later on we will add additional cards to the deck that you can build with. But we will have the information out there that you can take your regular deck of cards and play with. You can write on them if you want to, or however you want to do it, or just have it on a sheet of paper to look off of. The only cards that you have to worry about what they actually do are the face cards and the 2 jokers and the 2 extra cards. Those 4 are your event cards, and your face cards are your tactical cards. And we'll go over some of those abilities here in a minute.
When you buy a brand new deck of just regular playing cards, you get 56 cards. I didn't know that.
Yeah, most decks, and we opened up several over the weekend to double check that, will have your 52 regular cards. You will have 2 joker cards. You will have 2 extra cards. Sometimes they put their logo on there, or they put hey, if you want the book of Hoyle or something like that, or a calendar or something like that, there's always those 2 extra cards. And then, of course, your 52 regular cards. It has to do with the number of cards that fit on whatever sheet that they print on. So when they do, it comes out at 56.
So Smoth, there isn't any countering in this game. All of the tactics cards are just pluses. None of them counteract the others.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no way to counter each other than if you just flip a card and you tie. But again, the winner of the tie is whoever lost the initiative right before that.
Right.
You're basically playing war. I don't know if you remember as younger or is whatever, you're playing war. So whoever plays high card gets to go.
Gimli has an excellent question. We talked about
Yes.
this.
So if it is on the first flip, then the person that lost the cut will go first. Is that right, James?
Yes. Yes.
And the only way, and that's the only time that comes up. So if you lost the cut, then you win the tie.
Yes. And if you happen to tie on the cut, just keep cutting.
Yeah.
So the idea with making the person who lost the previous initiative win the tie is sort of a catch-up mechanic.
Yeah, it's just so that the same person doesn't play or get 2 activations in a row strictly because of a tie. That way it kind of smooths it out a little bit.
Just a little bit of a compensation for having lost the previous initiative.
Yeah. Now, as far as like I said, you'll be able to use extra cards for. Yes. Yeah. Well, and that way, if you have a tactical card, you're not necessarily going to lose that card because he played a higher card. You'll have the ability to play that card again and still get the use out of it, unless he's got a lot of high cards. So, and there is that. I mean, that's the fallback, I guess, because of randomness. I mean, it is possible that you will move second every time in a turn. So, and certainly if he's pulling extra cards because he has more squads, then that will affect that as well. But I think that is a fair mechanic because somebody with more squads should have a better reaction.
The other thing I like about this is because some of the cards aren't discarded, is that piece of knowledge stays in play and it can affect future choices, right?
Well, and another thing too is, and that's why James was talking about having the 2 decks, is when you're playing each of you with a full deck, odds are you're not going to get through that whole deck in a game. Unless you're just playing a really huge game that goes on for a long time. So there'll be a lot of cards that get stuck in the deck that may never come up. You may have all your tactical cards because of the shuffle at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, so I mean, chances are,
Yeah.
especially if it's a high card, they're going to play that card again. and you're either going to have to beat it or you're going to throw away a low card.
And you're also going to know, because if you see a tactical card and you manage to beat it, it's going to come back up. And so you might be able to play around it in terms of your positioning or the way you choose to activate your squads. It just gives you information that you can then put into part of your game plan.
Yeah. And an important thing to remember too is you have more cards than you have squads if you're playing with extra cards. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to save a card or something like that, and then you run out of squads to play, then that card is going into the discard pile and it's gone. James, we're getting feedback off of you.
Hold on. I don't know how.
Okay. I think we're good.
Away?
Yep, it went away.
That was...
It was like the endless loop.
Seriously.
Now, other ways that you'll be able to get extra cards is you can choose at the beginning of a turn to use a C3 point to draw an extra card in that turn. You will also, if you're playing with the upgrades and the assets, there is the SIG initiative card. It's because of the way that we have it set up. We've still got to get all the bugs worked out of it, but that's why we got the feedback, since we're in two different states. But you'll be able to do that, and you'll be able to. What is the C3? Okay, so at the beginning of a game, you get C3 points, and you get 1 point for every squad in your force group. Also, you get points if you have an officer in your force group, if you're playing with the upgrades. Also, sometimes a scenario or something specific will give you an extra C3 point. And C3 points are, once they're spent, they're gone. But there's several different things that you can do with them, as far as giving models an extra activation, giving models the ability to get rid of suppression, being able to move a model out of turn. You can actually attach that turn to a different squad. And then in this case, you'll also be able to add an extra card to your draw for that turn. So and once they're spent, they're gone. What else do they do? Oh, they also allow you to pick up and re-roll a dice, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can just read about C3 points in the rules.
Yeah. So yeah, if you've got the rules, just look. There's a section up towards the front about C3 points. Now, SIG int cards are purchased if you're playing with upgrades and assets, and we'll be retweaking those point-wise a little bit. But you can buy one of those cards, or you can buy a SIG int, one for each squad that you have, and then you'll have the ability to choose a turn that you can play that and get an extra card for that turn. James, do we want to go down the list as far as what some of the abilities are?
I think it would be good to tease some of them.
So the event cards, right now there's 4 of them that'll be in the deck. And they are titled Solar Flare, EMP Burst, Magnetic Disturbance, and Nanobot Swarm. And these have various things that they do to both sides. They are not, I would not consider them positives, would you, James?
No, the event cards are definitely detriments. They make the game harder.
There's nothing outrageously that will and especially since it's going to both sides, that kind of mitigates, affecting one side or the other. Except here's the little fun part about the event cards is a model with the SA shielded is immune to all effect cards. So that is something that will make models with the SA shielded a little more important.
That may not be true of future event cards.
Right. Just the 4 that we have right now. Now, the tactical cards will help you, and they only apply to that squad for that activation. There is a whole variety. There's 12 of them in the starter deck. Some of them affect your base to hit number. Some of them affect damage. One of them allows you to repair a DT. One allows you to re-roll a D6. What else? There's some things that change ranges. There's all kinds of cute little things that will be fun.
Yeah. And as John said earlier, in the future he has the ability to release new tactical cards, new event cards.
Or other cards that we find down the road.
To put in your deck.
Yeah. There might be something later on that we want to come up with that we want to add to the deck. So that we'll have that ability to print those cards out and get those out there. So James, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go for a little bit.
Well, I'm getting some side messages asking questions about ties. So we might want to go over the ties again.
Okay. So in the event of a tie, if both of you play the same card number-wise, the player that lost the initiative from the previous squad wins the tie. So that way you will not get to move 2 squads in a row automatically because of winning a tie.
Correct.
Hopefully that makes sense.
And I hope so. And if it's the very first flip of the game, then the person who lost the cut wins the initiative.
Yes.
Yeah, so initiative is going to change constantly. And once you get the handle of it, you'll be able to play your hand of initiative cards a little more effectively. Like if you decide you want to lay back and make the other guy come to you, you play your low cards. And if you want to try and go first, then you go out right away and you try and win the war with your high cards. I mean, maybe if you need that sort of a mechanic to help you remember who lost initiative. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. John will even sell you one. John has some cool CAV coins. I've got a couple of them.
Those are our new 2-sided dice.
That works.
a D2.
Yeah, that'll work. Just put my face on it. That way everybody knows.
Yeah.
I think we had a question out there, a sort of a side question about base sizes.
Okay.
So if you had that question, please post it in the chat. Or if not, I'm going to say it.
Well, if you know the answer, you can answer it, James.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay.
Because here it comes. And I think this is in regards to more organized types of play.
All right. I think I know the direction this is going.
Yeah. So generally speaking, models have to be on the same size.
Okay.
But the Mastodon won't fit on the same size base.
All right. This has come up before. I'll go down. I'll give you the base, base speech. When it came time to do the figures, we had to choose a base. We decided to go with a hex base because hex bases were very common for other mech games. So we wanted the ability to be able to sell bases if people wanted them for other games, because we were the first to do them in plastic rather than the metal. So they were cheaper at that point. We chose the size that we did, again, because of the size that the other games were using. Models, obviously, down the road, some have got bigger, so they hang over the edge. Part of that, too, is I'm not a base guy. I don't like bases to get in the way of taking away from the figure. So it doesn't bother me to use, I know, to use a smaller base. But the only time that this comes into effect is, and sometimes it is advantageous to have a small base, but for organized play, if we're running a tournament and you're coming to play that tournament, then all your models have to be on the same kind of base. So if you use the small hex base, they all need to be on the small hex base. If you use a bigger hex base, then they all need to be on a bigger hex base. They just need to be the same size and the same shape. Now, there is a little bit of fudge factor there for aircraft because their base doesn't matter since they're airborne. So if the flight bases for aircraft are round, so if you want to use the round flight base or whatever, it doesn't matter. Also, quad models can be on a larger base as long as it is the same size, the same shape. So if you want to use a 40 or 50 millimeter hex to put your quads on, you can. Now, where bases also come into effect is when they touch terrain. So if you're using a bigger base, chances are there may be places where you would pay for terrain that you normally wouldn't pay for. So if you use a smaller base, you may be able to get through an area. Even though the model is hanging over the edge, we use the base to determine what you pay terrain-wise. So that's a choice that you need to decide if you're going to play organized play, at least through a Talon Games event. Now, if you're never going to do that, then you can put them on whatever shapes, whatever sizes. however you want to do them. If you want to have a round base, a square base, a hex base, all in that same squad, that is totally legitimate. And they can all be different sizes.
So if you're playing casual, my advice is to base your CAV models on top of BattleTech models.
I always like putting part of them under the foot.
Yeah. But back to the actual official play. Vehicles don't have to have bases, correct?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's the other deal. Vehicles do not have to be mounted on bases. But if they are mounted on bases, they need to be the same base as the CAVs.
Right. And so this Mastodon has about the same footprint as a quad. How do we base a Mastodon for tournament play?
Well, I mean, it falls under the same rule because of the fact that it fits on the normal bases. I mean, it hangs over like some of the others, but it does fit on that base.
So just to be clear, if I field my regular CAVs on 40 millimeter hexes, and I have a quad, and I put it on a 50 millimeter hex, and I have a Mastodon. This is a weird force. You want it on a 40 millimeter base or a 50 millimeter?
It would be on a 40 millimeter.
Yeah. Okay. You really hate bases. I can tell. You're a basist.
I know. For the hover bases, again, it's the same thing. You would the hover bases that come with the model are the same size as the hexes for the CAVs. So if you were going to use a bigger base, you could just use the stand, the pole, and drill it, or however you want to do it. Or you can just keep using the bases that are with it. It's just not required for them to have bases if you don't want them. If you want to use bases, then you're good to go. And I like a cool looking base. I'm not saying but where I have my problem with bases is if you base them and you put green grass and bushes and all that stuff on them, and then you're playing on a desert board or a Mars skateboard or something like that, it just, I don't know. It looks weird to me.
So vehicles are not required to have bases for tournament play.
But yes, if you are planning on basing your vehicles, then you would use the 40 millimeter base that you use for the CAVs. And another thing that you can do to get around that is if you base them on a different base or something like that, for purposes of the tournament, you can always, put a little tacky or something on the bottom of that base and then just set it on top of the base. If you're using a smaller base and want to go to a bigger base. Yeah, hover vehicles don't need bases. Hover vehicles are actually ground effect. So they're actually just like tracks or wheels. They're right on top of the ground. The only ones that are raised up off the ground are grav vehicles.
So just to go back real briefly to your comment about bases that don't look right on top of their board.
Okay.
So what you're saying is a black base that comes with the model looks okay in a desert and a forest and a river.
Yes.
but the bases that are set up with grass look bad in desert and grass and river.
Oh God, yes.
John, you're just wrong. Sorry. That's why I'm here, to balance out the bases.
Yeah, and like he says, that's why you can use a clear base. I like clear bases.
Yeah, me and Gimli are on the same team.
All right, you spide away. I'm good. It's just my personal choice. And James wants to do everything opposite that I say. It's just the way he rolls.
Well, John, that might not be bad advice.
All right. So do we have any more questions about the initiative? Like I said, we're going to put up kind of a beta with the lists and all the little nuances. You'll be able to download that and either, like I said, play with a normal deck of cards right now and let us know. Give us some feedback. Technically speaking, this initiative system will work for about any game that you have that, if you want.
Thank you, Tiger. John, can we get a little close-up view of one of the new cards? Maybe one of the tactical cards?
I can try. We'll see if we can get the camera to... Let's see if I can get the camera to refocus. Can you read that, James?
Good looking card. I cannot. I'm an old man. Sorry. You asked the wrong person. Fantastic though.
Get the camera to recycle. My plan is to have those up by the weekend, by end of business Sunday.
Sweet.
It's actually pretty much done. It's just I've got to go in and clean it up a little bit. James had me use lots of curse words when we were making it up, and I need to take those out.
Absolutely. It's absolutely. Every other. Well, I had plenty of reason to curse that weekend. Going up to see John literally cost me more than $1,000.
Yeah, we have all kinds of good little quotes. We have, let's see, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then treat everything like a nail. Mm-hmm. If you see a bomb disposal technician running, try to keep up.
It was car trouble, Gimli.
Yeah. If you find yourself in a fair fight, you didn't plan properly.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. God is on the side with the best artillery.
Yes.
So we got all kinds of cool ones. All right. Are you ready to play blackjack now, James?
Awesome. John, I can't afford it. I got to pay for that car.
Oh, we could just play. We can play right here on my little card table here. You like that? Isn't that really nice looking?
I would be careful about doing something called blackjack on Twitch.
Ooh. James has 8. We're going to have to hit that, James. Ooh, 10. That card doesn't count. 20. Look at that. You got a 20, James. Against a 20. You got to push.
Yeah, lovely. We're going to get pushed off of Twitch.
We are waiting on the decals to show up. Hopefully they will be here this week still. They were supposed to have been sent last week.
So they're in the mail.
Yeah. We are also in the process of, we are going to be doing our own decals going forward. So there's going to be a little transition there too. These will be the last batch that we'll get in before we switch over to the new ones. And James saw some samples this weekend. What did you think of the samples you saw, James?
They were perfection.
Thank you.
Nothing better.
All right, folks. Well, we have come to the witching hour.
So just real quickly now, John, once John gets the ability to do these in-house, we can get decals sized for the bigger models?
Yes. For the Badger, all kinds of cool things. For going on buildings and all kinds of neat things. I'm working on trying to get the new factions all finished out. That's an ongoing project here over the next month or so. All right, James, any last words before we call it a night?
I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe.
I'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for showing up. We'll be talking about this some more. If you have some questions, drop it in Discord. We'll be glad to try to answer it out. And we will be talking to you all later. So thank you very much for your support. Peace.
Good night.